So some reports have recently come out that the UFC is interested in making a matchup between Henry Cejudo and Aljamain Sterling. Now look, I'll be the first to admit, guys, I love this fight. I love this fight. Now some of you may be wondering where exactly is this coming from. Some of you may be wondering whether or not Henry Cejudo is really legitimately worthy of a shot at the champ. Aljamain Sterling's been doing some really good work lately, just went through TJ Dillashaw. Now all of a sudden Henry Cejudo, who hasn't fought in 2.5 years, maybe 3 years by the time this happens, who knows? All of a sudden he's just going to step in and get a shot at the belt? Yeah. I mean, on the one hand, we could easily look at it and say, why does he get to skip the line? Why does he get to pass all these people up? There's been guys who've legitimately been doing work in the division. Somebody else should get the shot. And I get that argument, man. I totally do. I'm typically a guy who wants to reward the guy who deserves to be rewarded. Not that far-fetched of a concept, right? Shouldn't be very controversial in saying that, but there's guys out there who are continually putting in work, guys who are earning their title shots. Those guys shouldn't be passed up. There's only one belt. And when all of a sudden you see kinds of money fights get made or legacy fights get made or guys want to jump up and be the champ, a guy jumping in after being inactive for an incredibly long time and then all of a sudden he cuts the belt, it ties up the division. Guys need to continue to fight to make money. So if the division's getting tied up, if other people are getting title shots and they're not, that means they still have to fight. Then they go out, potentially they lose a fight, they don't look quite as good. They were a person who was in the line for a shot and all of a sudden they don't get one. And that's the politics of the game, right? That's why it's not completely a meritocracy. There is politics involved in the fight game. So you may be asking, if I'm typically for the right person being rewarded, if I'm typically for the guy who deserves to get the shot, getting the shot, what gives, right? Why am I going for Henry Cejudo now? I like the fight because of how big a fan I am of Henry Cejudo. Man, Henry Cejudo is a special fighter in my opinion, okay? Let's just think about this for a quick second. Olympic gold medalist. Olympic gold medalist in wrestling. I mean, that is about as old as it gets, right? The first Olympic Games had a wrestling in it, correct? Been around forever. People have been testing themselves at it, competed. Everybody talks about how difficult of a sport it is. You only need to talk to one person who has been around high school wrestling, collegiate wrestling, Olympic level wrestling. They will talk to you about how absolutely grueling of a sport it is, man. Almost all of these dudes are coming out with like neck injuries and back injuries and they're herniated discs and all kinds of things are messed up. Dude, it's physically grueling, mentally grueling. He made it all the way to the top. There's nobody better. Olympic gold medalist. Man, we know some dudes who are incredibly accomplished, both in wrestling and MMA, who tried hard for that Olympic gold medal, couldn't get it. But Henry Cejudo did. Then he comes over, guy who had almost no striking experience, probably none on any kind of like official level, comes over, makes his way into MMA, and slowly but surely we see him make that grind. But I don't even know if I want to say slowly but surely, because the man had the discipline and the focus of an Olympic level gold medal winning athlete. See, that's the thing. Miyamoto Musashi. And he came out and he said, once you understand the way broadly, you see it in all things. Once you understand one thing, you understand all things. Okay, and what that basically means is that you're able to take one thing from something that you master. So in this sense, we're talking about Henry Cejudo, who was able to take the discipline to master wrestling. He uses that same discipline and applies it to something else. It doesn't take a different set of discipline. It doesn't take a different set of problem solving. It doesn't take a different set of being able to focus. The man uses the exact same abilities, transitions over to MMA. And look at what he accomplished. Dude, there's a lot of people who don't want to call Demetrius Johnson the GOAT in regards to MMA. And I get it, because they always refer to his level of competition. You can't refer to how he looked. The man looked amazing. You can't refer to the win rate. You can't refer to the title defenses. You can't refer to any knock on him in any way, shape, or form. But if you say, when we talk about him as a potential GOAT, his resume is a little bit thin in the sense of his competition. I get that. I mean, he has no control over that. He can only beat who they put in front of him. But the man was a world beater, just absolutely blowing the doors off of everybody. Beat Henry Cejudo. Henry Cejudo came back and eventually snatched up the split decision, right? So he dethrones the man who was the man in the division. And then we saw what he did to Marlon Moraes. Dude, that fight, After that fight, how could you not be a believer? The way he came back in that fight, the way he delivered those knees, man, and got him out of there. What he did to TJ Dillashaw, let's not forget, before the suspension. I mean, it's recent in our minds now about TJ Dillashaw with the suspension and with the shoulder injury. And, he didn't exactly look like a killer in the fight with Sandhagen, even though Sandhagen's a beast. So the fact that he was able to get the win should say something. But it wasn't the TJ Dillashaw that we were used to seeing prior to that, right? You rewind the clock prior to that 3-year suspension, and you look at what he did to Barao, that TJ Dillashaw, right? That run that he was on, that dominance that he had, that's the guy that Henry Cejudo smoked. People want to refer to Dominic Cruz, the greatest bantamweight of all time. Look at the way Henry Cejudo did him. Dude, Henry Cejudo is not to be underestimated. Now, look, I don't want to take as much praise as I'm heaping on him. I don't want to take anything away from Aljamain Sterling. The man's a beast. The key to his game is the grappling. And when he goes out there and he's able to successfully grapple with somebody, they are not able to win. He's able to take somebody like Peter Yan, done. He's able to take a guy like TJ Dillashaw, done. When he gets his hooks in somebody, man, when he gets that control, when he gets on, dude, he's something to be reckoned with. Right? He's a force in there. We saw what he did to Corey Sandhagen. Look, I think it was easy at one point to kind of think that Aljamain Sterling didn't have the striking to be able to hang, and that his grappling, although it was just world class as far as using it in MMA, that he didn't have the grappling, that he didn't have the striking to be able to be a complete enough guy to win at the highest level. I think it was easy to think that at one point. You can't say that anymore. You can't say that anymore. Aljamain Sterling has come out there and he has proven himself. So a fight with him and Henry Cejudo, I think, is going to be awesome. And I think there's a lot of people who are probably sleeping a little bit on Henry Cejudo. But never forget, there's a reason why they refer to this man as Triple C. Okay? But seriously, though, Henry Cejudo is something else. Henry Cejudo stepping into that octagon against Aljamain Sterling is going to be an awesome fight. I don't know if it's going to happen for sure. If it does, I don't know when it's going to happen. But whenever that day may come, I can tell you right now, that is one I'm going to be excited for, tuned in for. Can't wait to see it happen. I mean, let me know what you guys think. Are you as high on Henry Cejudo as I am? Do you think the ring rust will affect him after having been out for so long? Do you think Aljamain Sterling kind of is still riding a little bit of a lucky streak? I mean, you got the win over Yan, which was the second one was legit, right? No doubt. In the sense that he went out there and he out-grappled him, but he wasn't able to hang in the striking. He just out-grappled him, got the win. Then you look at the fight with Dillashaw, it's like, the shoulder injury, we're going to give him credit for that one. I mean, what do you guys think about that? I'm high on his grappling ability, but maybe there's some people out there with some different opinions. Let me know what you guys think.